I don't know if that's actually helpful information about this book or not. You guys probably know better than to expect helpful information about books on this channel. I'm such a bad booktuber. Hi everyone, Rosie here. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another reading vlog. This is so exciting. I actually just finished my last reading vlog, which was a weekend reading vlog a couple days ago, although I think it'll be a little while between when you see that one and when you're seeing this one. But today I'm starting a reading vlog about one of my specific book ones. I never know what to call those. I don't know. I like making them, so I'm going to keep doing them, even though they continually are my worst performing videos. I think it's a fun way to talk about books. I think it's a more low pressure way to talk about them than trying to do an actual review. So, I'm supposed to be reading Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan for March of the Moderns, which is a readathon organized by Margaret Pinard, and it focuses on reading books published between 1901 and 1945. I thought I had Malgudi Days, which was apparently published in 1943, but apparently I don't. So I picked another book of his, and it was published in 1948, but I have it, so I'm gonna say, knowing what I know about Margaret's, TBR pile at her house, or her TBR pile of books she owns, I feel like she would approve and say, yeah, it's okay. So if you disagree, Margaret, let me know, but I'm giving myself permission on your behalf to say that it's close enough. Also, I've been really wanting to read Narayan because I saw Amrita talk about his writing, I don't know, a couple weeks ago now, and it sounded so good and it sounded so interesting and fun, so I should probably actually talk about this. Basically, from what I understand, because I know nothing, because I've read none of his books and done very little research, he's an Indian author who wrote in English, I think. From what I remember. It's been a month since I researched this, so I might be sketchy, but I'm pretty sure he's an Indian author who wrote in English, and I think sort of around the middle to second half of the 20th century. I think he was sort of starting in the 30s and 40s, but really got going later. Again, this is all very vague. I don't know anything. Don't come to me for detailed information, I'm afraid. But his writing sounds really interesting. It sounds really good. He's got this whole sort of series of books and short stories that are set in a fictional town that he created called Malgudi. It sounds interesting. I think they're kind of satire. I'm not positive. I'm going to be reading Mr. Sampath, the printer of Malgudi. I have no idea what this book is about. I'm picking up purely based on the author, but let's dive in and see. Actually, wait, before I dive in, I have one thing I want to do. Basically, gluten-free Oreos finally showed up in my grocery store. I've been so jealous. They started showing up in grocery stores, I think in the US in January. And every time I go, I'm checking it out and watching, and they're finally here. So I haven't had an Oreo since, I think 2010. It's been over 10 years. I've had obviously gluten-free replica Oreos, but I haven't had an Oreo bread one since 2010. It's my first bite of an Oreo in 10 years. Let's see how it goes. That was delicious. I have no idea if it's actually that different from the Glutino ones, which are my usual preferred brand of gluten-free not Oreos. I'll have to do a taste test at some point, maybe a blind one, but it's so yummy, and it's an Oreo. All right, cookie interlude over. I'm gonna start reading this book and let you know how I get on. All right, 2 chapters in, and I sort of feel like I know what this book is gonna be about, but honestly, I don't think I do. So far, we've got sort of a middle-aged man who's not sure what he's doing with his life, and then he's like, I know what I need to do. I need to start a paper. And it seems to be sort of he doesn't need to be associated with any particular political party, just criticizing everybody. And he's working with this printer. I assume the printer is the guy from the title, but I'm honestly not too sure. As I said, 2 chapters in, I'm still figuring things out. I'm not too sure where this is going. There was 30 pages of introduction and chronology and stuff in the book that I'm reading, which is a bind-up of this novel and 2 others, but you guys saw my spoiler tag. You guys know that I never read that stuff, so I didn't read that stuff, and I don't know what's going on. It's probably not the sort of content you come to booktube for, but it's the sort of content I'm here to make, so we'll see. I'm gonna read some more, and let's find out where this goes, I guess. The writing is pretty interesting and like very accessible so far. This was written in the 1940s in India, so like pretty remote in time and place from where I'm reading this. And without feeling like it was written for a Western audience, it feels very understandable. It doesn't deal with things where I'm going, I don't follow what this is. And even though it doesn't explain stuff explicitly, everything's very clear. I've only managed to read like a chapter and a half this evening. I'm having one of those evenings where when I try and read my book, I'm just like eyes closed, falling asleep on the couch. I'm gonna keep trying to read a bit more in bed. I want to make progress. I want to read this fairly quickly and not drag it out too much. But I also want to enjoy it, and I don't want to sleep through it, so we'll see. But I did want to just check in quickly because there's something that I'm noticing and something that I'm interested to read about afterwards. I know I could read about it before I read it, but I kind of like to read and then read the reviews and the analysis and like commentary and stuff. I want to form my thoughts and then see what other people say. Anyways, the point I'm interested about is there's several elements to this book where to me it feels like we're obviously supposed to be seeing what this character is saying in a negative light and seeing them negatively for what they're saying, or see their actions as negative and not very good. But I'm not sure if the book means it that way. I'm not sure if for the audience it was being written for and the time period when it was being written, these things were negative the way I'm reading them, you know, however many years later this is, 70 something, I guess, years later and in a different country and stuff. So it's really interesting. Like there's this one character who I think is supposed to be pretty absurd. He's an old man and he didn't sound like he had a very good marriage or anything. But he made this comment about like, oh, I don't know why they're so against child marriage now. I got married when I was 11 and my wife was 9 and it was all fine. And to me, reading that now, from my point of view, it feels like we're supposed to see that he's being ridiculous and that he's wrong. But I'm not positive if that was the author's intent. Like I said, when I'm done reading the book, I will read some commentary and sort of try and figure out, before I finish this vlog off, what that situation is. But it's something I'm interested to pay attention to, because there's been two big things already where I'm going, wait, it seems this way, but maybe that's totally in my interpretation and not what the author's actually meaning to write. So it's very interesting, and I am excited to keep reading it. I'm just very tired tonight. I've been feeling, I don't know if slumpy in my reading is the right way to put it. I just haven't been in the mood to read for the last couple days. Been in one of those moods where I just like want to do other stuff. So I haven't been reading, but I really want to finish this book. I want to see where it goes, and also I want to like get to some other books that I want to read this month. Don't get me wrong, this is really interesting. I'm enjoying it, but I kind of want that feeling of finishing something. So instead of reading the last 2 hours or so of this book over the next couple days, I think I'm going to settle in. It's the afternoon, got nothing going on, and I'm just going to try and finish this. So I guess I'll probably check in maybe when I'm 3/4 of the way through the book and when I'm at the end or something. I think I'm about halfway through right now, so yeah. Let's try that. I know lying on the couch probably isn't helping matters, but for reasons I cannot understand, this book is putting me to sleep. It's fairly action-packed. There's a lot happening. Although I'm not totally sure what the plot is at this point, and I'm 8 chapters in, so it might be one of those books that's more about characters and situations than it is about plot. I'm not sure. Anyways, like I said, loads of stuff is happening, and yet my eyes are falling asleep every time I try and read this. I said early on that I wasn't gonna research anything about this book before I read it, and I was just gonna dive in and see where it took me and then figure things out. Well, I definitely need to figure things out. I don't know what to make of this novel. I can't tell if it was funny or not. I can't tell where exactly the criticism's supposed to fall. There was a lot going on in this. It was very enjoyable. Like, the writing was interesting and pleasant to read, and like, aside from the fact that I kept almost falling asleep, like, it was an interesting story. But again, I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know how to describe this book, honestly, because on one hand, I want to be like, I liked it, I enjoyed reading it, it was fun, but also I feel like until I understand it more, I can't actually comment on it, because I might be commenting on it and then going, oh, but I'm missing all of the background to actually understand what I've just read. So I think I'm gonna read the introduction, and I might like Google it and read some reviews online or something and try and get a better idea of what this was about, because like I said, just finished it, very confused. I thought I would know what to say about this book once I had done some research, and on one hand I feel like I do. I feel like I have more thoughts now, but on the other hand I also don't totally know if I have anything more to say about this book. So, a few things I've learned. This writing is definitely meant to be comedic and humorous. I think in retrospect, if I had known that going in, I would have enjoyed the book more, because there were a lot of places where my brain was going, this is funny, you should laugh, this is comedic. But then another part of my brain was going like, wait, are you sure this is supposed to be comedic? Or is this something that's being written seriously that through time looks comedic? So knowing that it definitely was funny makes me sort of like, okay, I'm just leaning in and enjoying these caricature type things, as opposed to feeling incredibly uncomfortable with these characters. In the introduction to this book, it mentions that Mr. Sampath is backing up. Narayan apparently tended to not follow super strict storylines, A, B leads to C type plots. They were much more go with the flow, things just happen because that's how life happens. Life doesn't follow a clean 3-act system, life just is, so his stories were like that. But within that, apparently this one, Mr. Sampath, was especially like that, and a lot of people actually say that it's more like 2 stories in one book that are sort of related, but not totally. So I feel a lot better about my reading of being like, is there a plot and I'm not getting it? Is there no plot and there's supposed to be no plot and that's what I feel like knowing that actually does improve the book. That being said, I'm kind of glad I experienced the first one just as is, what's going on, because it makes me now want to read another one of his books and look at it from this different perspective of having a bit more understanding. I don't know, maybe it would have been best to just have the understanding from the beginning, but I think it'll be interesting, and next time I read one of these, I'm interested to see how I feel about it now in comparison to how I feel today. But I don't know, let's talk about stuff. If you have read any Narayan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know down below. Let's talk about it. Do you enjoy his writing? Do you have other books that you recommend that I read from him? Are you interested in trying this author? Also, are any of you guys doing March of the Moderns? And if yes, have you discovered any authors you want to read more of? I'm so glad that I decided to do this readathon, actually fairly last minute by my standards, because I've really been enjoying reading authors that I otherwise wouldn't have picked up. So thanks to Margaret for organizing that. Talk to me down below, and as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button down below. If you would like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.